Like never once you ever doubted yourself, like when you keep on hearing you're too young, you can't do it. When the time you doubted yourself?
It is because we don't express ourselves enough and we are conditioned not to express ourselves. When we pile up a lot of emotion deep inside us, that's where it will go to a threshold where we couldn't actually take it and then we burst. You are a trainer, you always look very, very composed, like what you said. But for me, I think that I do have times where I am down that people don't realize. And that's the hardest thing about being a trainer, because as a trainer, even though you go through a shitty day, even though you go through, let's say, a breakup, right? You will still need to show up as your most motivated self in front of your student. Hello everyone, welcome to the Influence Show, where influence meets breakthrough.
I'm Wicked, your influence coach.
And my name is Shu Yi, your breakthrough coach.
Every episode, we dive deep into the art of communications, influence, and mindset shift that turns some of the ordinary voices to become the most powerful leaders.
So whether you are a corporate leader, a professional, or even an entrepreneur or an aspiring speaker, you will learn strategies to help you level up your influence game so that you can take your life to the next level.
Let's influence the world one conversation at a time. So Shui, how did we came about the idea of running this podcast together?
So I think very interestingly, last time I was doing my own breakthrough classes and you actually did your influence class, right? But then I think coincidentally, we met at a common space, and that is where we come together and we say, hey, why not we actually run this class, we combine these two skill sets together, where you are good at influence and I'm good at breakthrough. And when we combine these skills together, that's where people are able to break through themselves to speak confidently.
Good. And so far, we have run multiple number of classes. We've impacted hundreds, even up to thousands of leaders across the countries. So, which is why now I think that it's time for us to, create a podcast to talk about the side of us that maybe not many know, and also to talk about our journey. And also maybe in the future, we might invite some of the influential guests to talk about influence and also their breakthrough in their journey as well. So that's actually what the podcast is all about.
Yeah, so what is this first episode all about?
Okay, of course, right? The first episode, of course, we need to get to know the founders, the co-founders, right? Of course, we need to know about you, right? So today's episode is all about understanding this person beside me. His name is Shu Yi. So a little bit introductions to Shu Yi, right? So Shu Yi, as you know, he is my partner. He is a breakthrough coach, a platform speaker, right? And he is also the co-creator of the masterclass called the Influence Breakthrough Masterclass. And both of us, we are running this community called the Influence Inner Circle as well. So many people know Shu Yi as a breakthrough coach, as a platform speaker, as someone who coach leaders how to be more influential. But I think today, it's time for us to dive deep about his journey, how he started out as a speaker at such a young age back then, and then how he became one of the most influential speakers right now, and also coaching other people to become an influential speakers as well. So Shu Yi, are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
All right. So you see, Shu Yi, right? Maybe can you just start by sharing with us, like, how did you get started on this journey to become a speaker, to become a coach?
So to be honest, I never thought that I wanted to become a trainer or a coach at the very first place. And in fact, my dream ever since I was young was I wanted to become a national badminton player, right? So I trained badminton really hard from 7 all the way until 17 for more than 10 years. And imagine that every single morning you just wake up at 5 a.m. every single day just for training. So I trained badminton for 10 years, and there was this one opportunity I still remember when I was 17 years old, and it was a national competition going to the national team, right? And I was really confident, even got featured on newspaper for being the favorite to win the competition. And I made it all the way until the final, and then I lost the final. So because of that, just imagine that a dream that I once had for more than 10 years, right? Suddenly, it just went down the drain. And then I still remember that after that, there was this national coach came up to me and he told me that, Shu Yi, I know that you work very hard, but you are not the champion and we only select the champion for the national team, right? So from there, I lost my dream and I lost my direction, not knowing what to do. So it wasn't until I actually discovered about this one skill that eventually turned my life around, right? Because during my darkest moment, I actually came across my mentor. His name is Adam Koo. So when I saw Adam and he was running this program back then, it's called Pattern of Excellence. So it was a program about Neuro-Linguistic Programming, right? And then for those of you who don't understand what is NLP, so neuro stands for our mind, our neurology. Linguistic is like the language that we use, and programming is how we program ourselves. So in short, it's pretty much like psychology where you learn how to understand what you want, right? So when I saw Adam for the very first time, I went through that class. There were a lot of people who were lost in life, who had no confidence, and they don't even have a goal in life. And I saw how they break through themselves inside the class through the power of NLP. So because of that, I told myself that, hey, this was something that is really, really powerful. And of course, like I see a lot of changes in myself as well, right? Because at that time, I used to tell Adam this, that Adam, I never believe in hard work anymore. Like, why work so hard? I worked hard for 10 years and then suddenly, like, I couldn't achieve my goal. And the thing that he shared with me is something that turned my life around. And he shared this with me, that whatever you go through in life, remember these 6 words. And these 6 words is to turn your mess into a message, right? So the mess that you go through, the downtimes that you have, turn it into a powerful message to actually share to people. So that was when I realized that, hey, I actually have a powerful message to share. But of course, like when Adam first told me that, at the back of my mind, I was like, Adam, what are you talking about? I am a 17, 18-year-old. I had no experience. I don't even know what is speaking or what is business all about. Like, who would actually want to listen to me? Right? But then because of that, I said that, hey, I came all the way to meet Adam. I invested all my money to attend this course. I got no choice but to really trust Adam as my coach. So I started putting myself out there to start sharing. Started off with university student and then went on to speak to corporates. And then sooner or later, I realized that people enjoy my presentation. People enjoy my story. And there are companies who are willing to pay like 4 or 5 figures just for me to be on stage. So that was when I realized that I actually have a story to share. And because of that, I think that I keep on doing it because I just find a lot of passion in me, helping people breaking through themselves. And that's what I do right now.
All right. So, I've been hearing this story for many times, and it still inspires me every time when I hear it from you. So, like, can you share with me, right? Transitioning from an athlete to become a business person right now, right? How does your experience as an athlete or traits from the athlete that carries forward to you as an entrepreneur right now?
I think that being an athlete and being a business person is pretty much similar, right? Because being a badminton player, it taught me a lot of lessons that I applied in business as well. One of it is actually discipline. So being a badminton player, I wake up at 5, 6 a.m. every single day to actually train. And because of that, I think I find myself to be consistent, even up to right now, compared to most of the people out there. And I had no problem waking up early to actually work on my business. So I think that the same work ethic is just translating it to business terms, right? So that's one of the things that I learned from badminton, which give me a huge advantage. Second thing that I learned is about how to bounce back from failure. And I think that this is something that a lot of people, they never really go through it. So back then in my badminton journey, imagine you train for a few months for this one major competition and you were excited for that competition, right? And that was the only thing that you focus on. And then you go into the competition, travel all the way to maybe Kedah to actually play competition, like 4 or 5 hours of journey. And then you lost in the first round. And then after that, you had to sit through the entire week supporting your team members and you are just there alone. So that was the kind of setback that I realized, like, it was heartbreaking back then. And imagine that months of hard work, on the first day, you just ended everything, right? But then looking back, I think that it taught me a lot about business lessons as well, because I learned how to bounce back from failures right immediately. I learned how to not dwell on failures, because as a badminton player, after you go through one competition, you lost, your focus is straight away on the next competition. Right? So I think that these 2 traits are really what propels me in business. And even like in business right now, if I go through certain challenges in business, I will just move on to the next part, because that was what I was trained back in badminton.
Right, moving on from challenges.
Yeah.
Now, speaking about challenges, right? You started off really young, like straight away from university, straight away to business.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced in this journey?
So I think that the challenge is pretty much similar to a lot of people out there. One of it, of course, is you're too young, right? And I went through a journey where straight away from university, I became a speaker. Right? Because most speakers out there is that they get good at something, right? And then they are qualified for them to train, right? For me, I go through a more hardcore path, I would say, right? So coming out from university straight away into training, people would always say that, hey, Shu Yi, you don't even have working experience yet. You don't even know how the corporate works, right? Then how are you able to train up my employees? So that was one of the things that I always get as a young trainer, right? But one thing that I learned on how to manage that is that, again, going back to the trait of badminton, I don't focus on all this feedback that just said that I was too young, because I knew my strength and I knew that I had something that people don't have, which is the ability to actually break through myself, the ability to speak, the confidence that I had, which is also something that I got not just from badminton, but also from my NLP journey as well, right? So because of that, when people always say that I'm too young, I would normally say that, yes, I'm young. And then I learned to look at what are my strengths, because in badminton, it's always about playing according to your strength. And I will always tell people that because I am young, I'm able to become more creative. I'm able to connect with your younger crowd even more. I'm able to capture attention of the younger crowd even more. And that's why I am way more qualified to train your people. And to me, I think that was one of my biggest lessons. For those of you who are young, learn how to use that and channel it to your own advantage.
Like never once you ever doubted yourself, like when you keep on hearing you're too young, you can't do it. Was there even a time when you doubted yourself?
I think at the start, definitely you will doubt yourself, because it's a journey that you definitely go through, right? It's like when you learn NLP, you learn all these theories, techniques that you actually apply. And then at that time, when I start teaching, it's all about theory, right? I don't have case study, I don't have result. So that is where I start doubting myself. NLP, does it really work or not, right? Does it really help other people or not? Because what I do is I do trainings, people nod their head, but I don't really see transformation, right? So that was one of the struggles that I had. But for me, I think one thing about confidence is that confidence is not just about like shouting affirmation every single day. It's about building a stack of evidence and proof to show that you can actually do it and you are who you say you are. Right? So over time, I learned how to build this kind of evidence, and this is through the case study that I had. And when I start seeing that my students, they apply what I taught and then they start seeing results, right? That was when I realized that, hey, you know, what I teach actually has value, right? And what I teach actually creates results as well. And I have created like top sales and a lot of all these high performance in work. So I realized that like every time when people doubted that, hey, you are too young, right? Then these case study, these testimonials, it actually became one of my biggest proof that gave me confidence, right? So that was one of the things that I learned, right? For you to be confident, yes, you need to go through that journey of trial and error, but then when you learn how to build that kind of proof and evidence along the way, that's where confidence would follow.
So confidence requires evidence, so you need to document your evidence. So how do you do it? Do you have a habit of keeping all your evidence? You journal or snap pictures? How do you do it?
Yeah, so for sure, I think that it starts from the little things that you do, right? So for example, if you said that you want to be consistent to work out 5 a.m. in the morning, then you got to do it, right? And then when you document it down, people see that you are someone who actually keep to your word. And I think that is actually very, very important, right? So that's one thing that I do. Another thing is that for students that gave me great testimonials, great reviews, I documented it down. Number one is to show that, hey, I actually help these people, and that is a social proof for myself, right? But of course, number two is also more importantly, remind myself, why am I doing this? Because every time when someone doubted me, every time people say that, hey, Shu, you are too young, as I look back at all my case study, my testimonials, the appreciation message that I got from my students, I realized that what I have to share actually has a lot of value. Right, so from there, then that's how my confidence actually grew.
Good. So I think that's really applicable to us, whether we are sharpening our skill in doing anything. Really need to document that down so that when we see that proof, that's when we start to believe in ourselves.
Yeah.
So Sri, you mentioned about NLP is something that changed your life. Yeah, and also it's something that you are a true believer, and also people know you as an NLP coach as well. Can you share with us, like, how did NLP change you? What are some of the things that people can also learn from it, and that may change them as well?
Right. So I think that in NLP, of course, we touch on a lot of different things, but there are two things that really stand out, and this applies across everything that you do in life. So there are two masteries that NLP actually teach. First one is what we call personal mastery. So personal mastery is where if you want to achieve success, you need to know your direction. You need to be clear with who you are, what are some of the goals that you have, and also what are some of the things that is holding you back, right? So when you learn about NLP, about personal mastery, it helps you to have a good look in terms of what are the demons that you have inside you. And by that, it means that the fear that is holding you back, the limiting belief that is holding you back, because all these things actually happen to us very, very subconsciously. We have all this limiting belief that is conditioned by the past from our culture, our family, that we don't even realize that is holding us back. So when you learn how to deal with it, you start getting clear with who you are as a person and with your identity. What is the kind of identity that you create for yourself, right? Because most people, when they grow up, they don't know who they are. They're not confident because they don't know their identity. So NLP actually helps you to deal with that. So personal mastery. And once you learn how to master yourself, the second thing is what I call people mastery. Then you need to learn how to master people. So that is where you understand human behavior, why people behave certain way, what drives people to do certain things, pain, pleasure, and what are some of the top needs that people actually look for in terms of motivation and all this thing. So that is where you learn how to understand people, because every goal that you want to achieve that is major for you in life, you can never achieve it yourself. You need to be able to leverage on other people to help you achieve those goals if you want to get to your goals fast, right? And that's where people mastery comes in. So when people go through NLP, right, they go through a transformation, not just themselves, but once they transform themselves, they learn how to impact and influence other people to help them to achieve their goals as well.
So you see, both of us, we run our Influence Inner Circle. We also coach a lot of people, right? You also coach a lot of people who came to you with mindset challenges, motivation issues, right? So you see, in the world where, depressions and also mental challenges are actually on the rise, right? What do you think is actually the cause of these things, and how can us be more mindful to overcome these kind of problems?
Yeah, so I think that depression, emotional challenges and all these things, it is because we don't express ourselves enough and we are conditioned not to express ourselves. Right? So that's why when we pile up a lot of emotion deep inside us, that's where it will go to a threshold where we couldn't actually take it and then we burst. Because see, as human beings, ever since we are born, we were meant to express ourselves. Just like when a kid is being born, their job is just to cry, to express themselves, right? But then as they grow older, when they cry and then the parents say, shut up, right? So that is where the kid learn that it's bad for them to cry. And then when the kid is being taught as a young kid that it's bad for you to express your emotion, then when you go into the adult world, it's also the same. Where, let's just say, if you show your vulnerabilities at work, you show your emotions at work, people ask you to think positive, to act more maturely. And that is where we also feel that it is not right for us to express our emotion. So with all this emotion, it doesn't just disappear. What it does is that it gets stacked on inside you, and as you go on and this keeps on piling up, it will go to a point where you will actually burst. And that's why you could see that depression happens. That's why you can see that some of the most successful people, they still committed suicide. Why? It's because deep down inside, they have that emotion that is being unexpressed. And that's where everything just go haywire.
So it's unexpressed emotions,
Yeah.
right? So you see, one of the things we do in our Influence Breakthrough Masterclass is also to allow our students and coaches to express themselves, right? And one of the questions that often comes out is like, how can we express ourselves? Yes, we express ourselves at the same time, also not, causing disruptions out there. Yeah, because you say that we need to express ourselves, right? So how can we do it in a way where we can still express our feeling, but at the same time, we are not like, throwing things to people and exploded?
I think that you still need to have that kind of control when you are expressing yourself, knowing what should you express to other people and what you should not express to other people. So I think that that's very important. So when I say expressing yourself, right, it's not like if you feel angry, then straight away you lashes your anger on this person. So that is not what we mean by expressing yourself, right? But of course, inside our class, there's one element that we actually did that, but with very, very carefully to do that, right? But I think that when you are being piled up with all these different emotions, frustration, pain, anger, and all this different information, the most important thing is learn how to express it without causing harm to other people, right? And you need to know what is your coping mechanism. Like for me, very simple. Every time I feel that I'm not feeling great, I would go to sleep. I sleep for an hour. The moment I wake up, I forget maybe 70-80% of the things. And that is just how I operate. But then I know for some people, they couldn't go to sleep when they go through situations like that. So what they do is that maybe they exercise, maybe they go for a run, they go for a jog, they actually find a friend to talk about it, right? So you need to know what is your coping mechanism. And once you know your coping mechanism, every time that emotion comes in, you learn how to express it in the right manner, channel it in the right manner. And then once that emotion is being expressed, you feel good about yourself, then only you go on to actually solve that problem itself. So you always separate emotion and problem. Yeah, so whenever you're having a heated conversation, it's also the same, right? So especially when emotion comes, you couldn't think logically. So learn how to take a break, right? Express those emotions in a right way, and then only come back to that conversation.
Nice. Okay, very good. Do you have moments of breakdowns or where, you look very composed, that like things never go out of control for you? Is it true?
I think that definitely there will be times where I went through my deepest or darkest moment, right? And a lot of time people always say that, hey, Shu Yi, you are a trainer, you always look very, very composed, like what you said. But for me, I think that I do have times where I am down that people don't realize. And that's the hardest thing about being a trainer, because as a trainer, even though you go through a shitty day, even though you go through, let's say, a breakup, right? You will still need to show up as your most motivated self in front of your student. Right? So I still remember that there was this one moment, and I think that this was one of my toughest or lowest point in life. At that time, it's due to relationship. So I had this relationship for almost 5 years, and I knew this girl for about 10 years. We were together for more than 5-6 years, and then it was a pretty stable relationship at that time. I think during COVID time, right? So this was where things started to change, where our priority changed, and then what we want also changes. So because of that, we did not get together, and then we broke up. Right? And imagine that at that time when we broke up, it was during COVID period. And you were with this person for more than 5 years, right? And then suddenly during COVID period, you couldn't do anything at all. All you can do is that you just stay at home, lock yourself in the room, and that's it, right? And I still remember that during that moment, it was when I started my training journey for about a year. And then suddenly COVID hit. Back then we were all doing like physical classes, right? And when COVID hit, suddenly everything was stopped. And during COVID, I had a time where I don't have consistent income for almost, I think, 6 to 7 months, right? And imagine that as a young kid, you started off and you're not sure what is your future all about. So I second doubt myself. Should I go online? Should I not go online? Should I wait for COVID to get over? Because at that time, online wasn't a thing. So there was a lot of internal voices questioning my choices, questioning if this is the right path for me or not. So I think that I went through a lot during that time. What got me up, I realized, was when I surround myself with people that really, they are more positive than me, they're more experienced than me, and I have mentors that is able to show me the way. And I think that that's very important, right? And I still remember one of the lessons that I have learned from this journey was that this mentor, he told me this one thing. I know that you are down, but don't focus on what's going to happen 1 month later, 2 months later, or even 1 year later. Because the moment you worry on things that you can't control, that is where all the anxiety kicks in. And he told me this, I want you to write this down, 1 day at a time. So focus on what you can do today, make a to-do list, 3 things that you need to accomplish today, and just complete that. So when you learn how to complete that, that's where you regain control of your emotion and you regain momentum. So that is one thing that I realized from my journey as well, because I deal with a lot of patients or even like students who have anxiety, depression. And the reason why they go through this kind of emotions, right, is because they felt out of control. So my advice will also be the same. To learn how to focus on one thing at a time, 1 day at a time. And when you learn how to regain that control, that's where life would just flow for you.
So I often hear you mention there are mentors that help you and also change you. And personally, I really respect you because you have a lot of really great mentors to support you, great coaches. So my question to you is this, right? How did you get these successful people to support you and also to guide you?
Yeah, so I think that this is also something that people always ask, is that how do you attract powerful or successful mentors in your life? I think number one is that you need to do your part first, right? And by doing your part, it means that you need to learn how to add value and to give before you receive. And I realized that one of the things people are afraid to when it comes to looking for a mentor is the mindset that what do I have to offer, right? And because of that, why would this mentor talk to me if I don't have anything to offer? So that was one of the biggest fear about people meeting mentors. But then I remember that my most important mentor in my life, his name is Michael. How did I meet him? I was interning in his company called Thriving Talents, right? When I first started off. I knew that I wanted to become a speaker, and I found this idol that is already very established in speaking, and I knew that I wanted to learn from him. So what I did was that I applied as an intern at his company. So I went into the company and I did my part. Every single day I show up early. Every single day I work from day to night. I have projects that I run by myself. I take initiative and I add a lot of value to that company, right? And because of that, I add so much value to a point where when I actually finished my internship and I expressed to this mentor of mine that I wanted to start my own training journey, he expressed interest in wanting to invest in my company, right? So that was where the whole new relationship began, where he invested in my company, he helped me a lot, and that's how we got close and we became good friends. But I think that a lot of times it started off with you learning how to add value first to the other party, because when you are able to do that, then you are able to attract the right people to you in life, right? And then more importantly is not to be afraid to ask, because there are people who rejected me when I asked them to be my mentor. Definitely there will be, because they don't have the time and things like that. But then when you learn how to ask, you will be surprised that there are people who are very willing to mentor and to guide us, right? So the key here is for you to learn how to add value first. And for those of you who are listening, even though if you feel that, hey, what if I don't have an internship period with this mentor? What can I offer to this mentor, right? I would say that sometimes a simple coffee session where you offer to buy them coffee in exchange of advice, I think these are the things that really works out very well, because you'll be surprised that people would be touched by your sincerity, and that's where they will actually resonate and to accept that request. Because most of the time, it's just the inner thought that tells us that, oh, who am I to even speak to this mentor? But a lot of times when you reach out, definitely they will be more than willing to help.
Now the table has turned. You are now somebody else's mentor as well as coach. So what kind of mentor and what kind of coach are you? What kind of impact do you want to leave from the work that you do?
So I think that, of course, being a coach, I still feel that I have a lot to learn. But I always believe that my story is able to inspire people out there. One of the best quotes that I live by is also a mantra that we use in our class, turn your mess into a message, because I always believe that I came from a place of mess, which I know that a lot of people come from that place as well, where they felt lost, they felt depressed, they felt anxious, they felt frustrated. There's a lot of all these people that we actually coach. But I always believe that right now, my mission, instead of me sharing my story, I wanted to shine lights onto some of our students so that they can also turn their mess into a very powerful message, whether it's to impact their own community, whether it's to impact the people that they love. I always believe that if I can help someone and that person helps one person at a time, and then the other person helps another person at a time, the ripple effect that we create is just crazy, right? So that's why for me, I always believe that it's not just about me, it's about the impact that I'm able to create for the people, and just to help them be themselves and to share the message to the world. That was one of my mission right now.
So now you have coached so many people, and then our Influence Inner Circle is also growing as well, right? So from your experience, which type of coachee or which type of students, when they come into a coaching with you, and these type of traits give them the best results, meaning that they can create results the fastest compared to other people? What are some of the traits that will help them to be successful?
So I think that I am also thinking from my own perspective, what kind of traits got me result fast, because I also invested in coaching programs as well, right? And looking back at some of the students that I have coached or we have coached, I realized that the most important thing, as simple as it sounds, is just about taking action, right? Because logically we know that to reach our goal is to take action, but then most people, they just don't do it, right? So some of the best students that I have seen is they would do more than is required. And then they will always come to the coaching session prepared with more things that they have done compared to you asking them to do. So I think that this is actually one of the traits that I've seen in some of our most successful case studies from our students. And I realize this one thing in life as well is actually it is very easy for you to get ahead of 99% of people from the world. Why? Is because if you are just willing to put in that bit of hard work, if you're just willing to wake up 1 hour earlier compared to most people out there, you would have already gotten ahead. But then if you think about like 5 a.m. club, 6 a.m. club, people who wake up super early, how many people do you know in your life that wakes up super early?
You.
Okay, right? Not a lot of people actually do that, right? Even though people know that if I can work harder than other people out there, I would be ahead. But why is it that so little people go through that journey? So that's why I always believe that like some of the most successful people is actually just taking massive action and not think a lot, right? Because a lot of people, especially people who are knowledgeable, very smart, I don't mean bad, but then people who are more knowledgeable, sometimes they think a lot. And because they have a lot of hesitation, a lot of self-doubts, they analyze a lot, and then eventually they paralyze. They don't take enough action. So that's why I always believe that taking action is one, and more importantly is not to over-analyze things. And for me, it's also the same. When I started my training journey at the age of 18, I just do it. And I don't really care about what people think. Yeah, so I guess that is also something that I learned from my badminton journey.
Taking action is more important than thinking and then getting it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, in the past, you are an NLP coach. You are breakthrough coach. I mean, when I first met you, you were in the room doing breakthrough stuff. Now you shifted to influence. You're not just training on breakthrough, you are also training people on how do they speak and how do they own their stage, right? How's things with you, right? Like, which one do you prefer? Speaking, breakthrough, both?
Of course, if you ask me, breakthrough requires more work, okay, right? Because to help people to break through that fear, that doubts, it takes a lot of work to work with their limiting belief, to work with their past fear and even their conditioning in the past. And that requires a lot of work. But for me, I think that that's necessary for people to go through change. But of course, if you ask for my preference, I would say that definitely is a combination of both, because for you to learn how to influence well, you need to learn how to influence yourself. And for you to learn how to influence yourself is about understanding your fear, your conditioning, your past failures, and making peace with that. So once you learn how to do that, then when I coach them on the techniques, on the structures, they are able to apply so much easier. So for me, I always believe that it comes in a package, right? So that's why I think that I will still probably continue my journey of applying these two in some of our coaching sessions.
I think the power comes when breakthrough meets influence, where you have the best of both worlds and you can get people to overcome that fear and also get them a skill set to speak as well. This is a question that I never really asked, right? So how's your experience running the Influence Breakthrough Masterclass so far? And also, how's your experience working with your partner right now, which is me? What do you think about it?
I think that running Breakthrough Masterclass is something that I never expect I would do, right? But then looking at the amount of impact that we have created, the amount of confidence that we have instilled in our students over the past 1.5 years, I started realizing like this is something that is my mission, to help people to break through themselves, to share their message out. So I really enjoy that journey to help a lot of our students. And I think working with you is one of the most fun thing that I could actually do. And I realized that we are different, but then our strengths actually complement each other, right? So for me, I'm more towards a very goal-driven, numbers, data, and I will fight for sales and all those things. But then your strength is very people person, right? And then you are able to manage community very well. I feel that it's a very good combination, because a lot of times when people run communities, it's either they focus on sales, they get a lot of people in, but their community was not taken care of, or it's another way around, right? Where they focus so much on the community, but then the sales doesn't take care of itself. But I feel that with our combination, it's just worked perfectly fine, because we are able to not just add enough people into our community, but I think most importantly, people find value in that community, right? So I think that definitely it's an enjoyable one, but of course in the future, more challenges to come, right? But yeah, definitely I think that a good partnership is not just about being perfect. It's about learning how to deal with each other's vulnerabilities, flaws, mistakes along the way. It's just like relationship.
Thank you so much for being such an amazing partner.
Thank you.
Right. So now we have come to the final questions. So for those people out there who are listening to this podcast and they want to start to build their influence in whatever that they do, right? what is the advice that you would give to them?
So I would say that to learn how to build your influence, you need to build what I call your thought leadership, meaning to say that what do you want to master in, right? What is your niche? What is the expertise that you want to grow, right? Maybe for some people it's about leadership, some people it's about health, some people it's about cooking, right? So you need to know your expertise. And once you know your expertise, then you just got to find a platform to share it. And right now, I think there's a lot of platform for you to share, whether it's online, social media, right? Or even find groups and communities that you can actually share out. So share your expertise, be so loud that no one can ignore you. I think that that's one of the things that I have learned. And with social media right now, I feel that like it shouldn't be a problem, right? And in fact, I always tell people this, that if you don't succeed at this era with all the information, with all the publicity, it is actually your fault, right? You got to just take so much action to a point where it's impossible for you to fail and just focus on what you want.
Great, right? So thank you so much, Shu Yi, for coming to your own show today. So I think today's session is really meaningful because it's the first episode. And from Shu Yi's journey, we have learned about how you started off from an athlete to become a coach, and then how you actually get support from the mentors, and how every part of this journey, actually there's a lot of valuable lessons. And currently now you're helping more other people to build their influence. So which is why wishing you all the best as well. Wishing us all the best. Wishing us all the best, and continue to change our students, our coaches, the world, one breakthrough at a time as well. Okay, so that's it for episode number 1. So do leave us a comment to share with us what are your thoughts and what are some of the important breakthrough that you have in your life. And we are looking forward to see you in the next episode. Okay, see you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.